Welcome to the regular meeting of the Commissioners Court. Today is Monday, October the 24th, 9 o'clock, and we are in a different meeting room downstairs. Of course, our regular meeting room is being used for the election purposes, but as far as I know, we will be back downstairs later on in November. I believe our next meeting is November 14th. So, if anybody is here that would like to address the court, we have some sign-in sheets over here on the table, and if you would complete those and hand those to the county clerk, and she will process that and get those to us. We'll begin now with our invocation, and then we'll have pledges to both of our flags. Gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you for today, and we thank you for the opportunity we have to live in this great nation. Lord, thank you for the freedoms that we many times take for granted. One of the greatest freedoms we have among many, of course, is the freedom to vote. We pray during this season of election that you'll cause our citizens, not only in our county, but across this nation and state, to remember to vote. Lord, we pray now as we enter into this meeting that you'll guide and direct each one of us, that we will make decisions and that are pleasing to your sight. We pray especially for our soldiers and that are in foreign battlegrounds, and also those here at home, and all of our first responders in whatever capacity they may be in. These things we ask in thy Son's holy name. Amen. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Do we have anybody that wishes to address the court issues? Somebody turned in a form? Okay, we don't have anybody that would like to do that. I don't have any routine correspondence other than the fact that the court will be meeting tomorrow, or has been invited to attend the meeting. It will not be an official meeting of the court. It'll just be in attendance at the National Guard Armory in Terrell, I believe, starting at 10 o'clock. If anybody just wants to attend another meeting, be invited to attend that meeting. So on the consent agenda, we have two items. One is to accept the regular meeting minutes and workshop minutes for September the 12th, 2016, and the regular meeting minutes for September the 26th, 2016, and special meeting minutes for September the 19th, 2016, and September the 26th, 2016, and October the 3rd, 2016. And then we have item B is a request to discuss and consider deputation of Victoria Crowder and Kylie Doss as deputy clerks for the county clerk's office. Does any commissioner, anybody have any questions about either of those items? No. Make a motion. I have a motion from Commissioner Phillips, second from Commissioner Rosali. All in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed. Next item is to hear from Dan Romo with Purdue, Brendan Fielder, and Collins and Mott to present the delinquent court fines and fees collection report. And Dan, we appreciate you guys being over, and looks like you've been busy.
Actually, it's going to be Doug Burnside. He's going to do the report today.
Okay, Doug.
I'm here for moral support. Sure.
Judge Wood, Commissioners, good morning. Thank you for having us here this morning. It looks like you all have copies of the report. Does you have a copy available?
Yes, I think everybody.
Good. Well, collections continue to go well for the Justice of the Peace. For the third quarter of the year, we collected we resolved a total of $770,405, which is almost 7% of the entire roll of fines that we have. Judge Barden, JP1 collected, or we resolved $35,000, which is almost 4%. JP2 for Ashcroft, we collected, or we resolved $162,289, just over 7%. For resolution rate was $273,035, which is just over 5%. And Justice JP Ford, Judge Adams, had the best quarter, which was $299,534 resolved, which is just over 10%. So for all the courts are doing really well for the year. I mean, we're almost up to 24% resolved for the year. We expect to have a little bit of a bump for fourth quarter as we've just started our fall warrant roundup campaign.
Saw the ads in the paper.
That's right, we put ads in all the local papers, we've sent out another round of letters, and the clerks have said they've been seeing quite a bit of activity coming in and people paying, so we're hoping those numbers will bump up even further.
We appreciate you guys doing that. I'm not sure how active you've been in that in the past, but I know it makes a difference.
Yeah. Do you have any questions?
Those numbers you just gave us, they doesn't line up with the numbers I've got.
Well, if you combine the resolve case resolution with the dollars collected, that's the total amount that's been resolved.
Yeah, the case resolution is not collected.
That's correct. What it is there are two different sets of numbers.
Right.
There are numbers that were actual dollars collected and resolution, but what I'm referring to the numbers I gave is actually dollars resolved, whether it's through collections, which we wanted to break that out, or case resolution, where it's cases that have been dismissed, whether they're cases that the court recalls from us, or community service, things like that, where it's dollars that are turned over to us for collections, but then one way or another, they're removed from the collections category, because they're either resolved or paid.
But it's not collected.
No, it's not dollars collected.
No, I said, we need to have a number on there, so the total amount of money collected.
Yeah. Okay.
Because it has to do with closing the cases.
Yeah,
Those are
the main
cases that
objective
go
is
on
to
the
get it
books.
off to the county's books. Obviously, we prefer, the county prefer they get paid, but in a lot of situations, that's not gonna happen. But we wanna let you know both ways, whether it's
Going back
paid.
to this first page,
Yes, sir.
for all four precincts, the total turnover is 11.29 million, and total resolve is 2.69.
Yes, sir.
That 2.69 is including these that
Yes, that's both
weren't
categories.
collected, they were just resolved.
Yes, they were just removed from the roll one over the other.
Okay.
Okay. Any questions or other comments for the attorneys? This doesn't require any kind of approval or anything, it's just a report.
Just a report.
Thank you very much for
Staff report.
making the drive from Tyler or Arlington or wherever you came from.
Garland.
Yeah.
Not very far.
What are the chances of collecting that remaining 11.2?
The total amount?
The remaining,
Pretty slim.
Very slim.
so those are several years old, that's just what we.
Yeah, those will go back some more than 20 years.
Yeah, some of them are real old on the books, and,
Yeah.
what happens is, somebody gets a failure to, no insurance ticket, so then the fine is, it's like almost $400-something, but then they end up coming back to court, they show proof that they had insurance at the time, and they pay that small court cost, so that's why the numbers are always fluctuating, it's a little different, finding fees is a little different animal than tax, so the numbers are always fluctuating.
Stuff
because
is
of the
resolved with that
That's right.
rate.
So the county might have got paid some court costs, but then, our fee was removed because, they resolved that case through the court, so.
Yeah, 'cause I know two people that called me that got letters from them for insurance tickets, and one of them was like 10 years old, and the other one was 9. And of course, both of them been resolved in the same week. But
We
they were
had
still on
close
the
to
book.
20 million owed to the county in
And
2012,
Yeah.
because we
and
had to
so-
put it on the books.
Yeah, but they were still on the books, and they really shouldn't have been.
At what point do they go off the books, or do they?
I don't know. Somebody got-
What's the state statute for that? Does anybody know?
You have
Or is
to,
there one?
you'd have to have a complete listing and decide if you want to do a write-off, and it's an expense to the county, so it hits your general ledger pretty hard.
And I don't know, at some point in time, would you come back to the
We
recommendation?
can, once we've analyzed it, once we've exhausted all our efforts, then we can come back and then y'all can make the decision at that point whether or not you want to write off those debts. I mean, we always just say, hey, let us keep working it, because sometimes it takes time to work.
Cold cases.
Some defendants, they may not have the money this year, maybe they have the money next year, so.
Or a lot of times, someone has moved away from Texas.
Right.
They moved to a state where we
Then
can't
they
get
move
public
back.
records to find them. They move back and get a driver's license. We've got a good address for them. We find them, we send them a letter, and they're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
They pay it. It's a catch-22. It's good to get them off the books so that you don't have that huge dollar outstanding, but then you're not gonna collect it if you write it off.
Right.
And so, there's still a chance out there.
And actually, one time, we didn't have a real good estimate of how much we had outstanding out there, I mean, from the various courts. I mean, it was, I heard there was like $20 million or something. I don't think
It's
it was
there.
that.
It is.
It's
11 million.
There's the total amount.
Yeah.
But at one time, we didn't have that. I mean, it was kind of, I believe, Karen, it was kind of an unknown figure. We had a, kind of a thereabouts, but.
Sure.
I had IT do the program because nobody else could pull that information for me. And, then that's when Mr. York and I got into a conversation, should we write those off or not? And I didn't agree with writing them off because that's money owed to the county, and eventually we'll get it when they get stopped, present a ticket, or get a warrant, and they find out they owe us money.
Okay, good deal.
Thank you, guys.
Thank y'all.
Thank y'all. Appreciate the update.
See you later.
Alrighty, item number 4 is from our treasurer, Mr. Oldfield, to present, the auditor, I'm sorry, the treasurer report.
Yeah, man.
Well, it's kind of a team report, Judge. Thank you, Ms. McLeod, for the help in getting this done. And, you know, Deuteronomy 10:14, Moses writes that, behold, to the Lord your God belong heaven and the highest heavens, the earth, and all that is in it. So I guess today my treasurer's report is to talk about the things that belong to God that are carved out in the name of Kaufman County. And in your packet, I want to go through our standards monthly treasurer's report, where we began the month with $5,491,587.51. We had receipts of $1,032,919.67. Disbursements of $3,069,940.33 for an ending balance of $3,454,566.85. All of that money is on deposit at American National Bank, as you can see, under the terms of our depository contract, and there is that small balance that's in a segregated fund called a money market investment. And there's discussions among the auditor, staff, and myself that we'll probably just close that and move that into the general fund as we finish this period of time. We've got money set aside for road bond INS, and then the road bond fund, that was the unspent road bond amount at September 30th. And you can see the interest distribution in the lower left-hand corner. Again, all earned under the terms of our depository contract with American National Bank. The next page, gentlemen, is, so Judge, I think we're taking a vote on that monthly. Do you want to go ahead and take that vote?
We have what, 2 months?
The monthly and then the quarterly.
Yeah, we can go ahead and do that. We have a motion from Commissioner Shane. I'll get it out in a second. Get a second from Commissioner Allen. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye.
Thank you, Judge. Then the second page is the quarterly report. You know, again, started the quarter with $10,054,729.72. Receipts of $3,306,345.50. Disbursements of $9,906,508.37. Again, our ending balance there of $3,454,566.85. And again, the quarterly interest is on the lower left-hand side is $23,610. You know, we've kind of been in, you know, that's at $7,800 a month that we've been drawing through it. Which shows you, you know, we've got a lot of money on deposit that's not general fund, and the reason I went through these and will forego going through the detail of the pledge collateral, the other treasurer activities, because we've got one thing that we want to look at here on the quarterly, where I've got as of this morning, I've printed and put highlight on this so that we can run through the critical numbers. Thank you, gentlemen, for passing down. You know, kind of shared an email with y'all, the auditor and I were talking, and
I'll get it from you, man.
today in our pooled cash, at the first page highlight on the right-hand side, 13,863,861.14. You know, that's all kept in one bank account, known as pooled cash. The next page, the Fund 10 part of that, you know, which is our general fund. Now, the second page, the first highlight is 672,525.76. That's kind of what I tried to communicate in the email to you. That'd be about where we are. Now, again, but we've got this pooled cash to use. So I'm letting the court know, like in all history, we've always drawn down these funds. And the auditor and I talked, and one thing we may do this year to be a little more formal and a little more fully documented is go into the road and bridge accounts, which is the second set of highlights, where Road and Bridge Precinct 1 has $1,095,000, Precinct 2 has $816,000, Precinct 3 has $979,000, and Precinct 4 has $495,000. We've discussed maybe sending y'all a formal communication that, hey, we are going to loan that certain funds to the general fund until property tax receipts are in. And again, it's been the history of the county to do this, and rather than just do it, I want to just take the opportunity of, fully inform you. Perhaps there'll be some follow-up communication and get us through the tax season.
We've got payrolls coming up and issues, so, yes, by all means, but I appreciate you showing us, because this is.
Yeah, see, we'll, if we're here at November 1st, for practical purposes, we'll pay the bills today. Then, Karen, I'm not sure how much is that's going to come out of general fund more or less.
Out of general fund, I have no idea without going through it.
Right.
But it's almost 900,000. We always use the full cash amount to cover any deficit till tax season, and I really don't like doing that. I'd rather borrow the money from one of the other funds, record it as a journal entry, and then once we get the tax money in, reverse that and put your money back where it's at.
What other funds would you borrow from, other than Road and Bridge?
There's a couple others that we could probably float us some money if we had to. Some of the funds are restricted and we can't.
Yeah, so it's, and there, I think there's Karen and I's heart that to be formal so that we are borrowing from a specific fund rather than pooled cash as a whole, because all of pooled cash isn't freely available. Such as one big item in here is adult probation cash.
And juvenile, and you have the employee savings account that you can't borrow from. We don't want to borrow from restricted like the INS for the debts and stuff. We can't do that. We can't borrow from a bond issue.
Right. So again, rather than, we just talked, we talked so much of how far the county has come since back in the day, as we've gotten greater technology and more training on staff.
And you'll, if you remember, maybe the two new commissioners don't, but Commissioner Gonzalez and Shane will remember that our treasurer came to the court and said he might have to go get a line of credit up to $500,000, and you said okay. He didn't negotiate that with Judge Wood or I. He went and borrowed the money, and 3 days before he left office, I found out that we needed to pay that note and pay the interest, because he's the one who went and borrowed it, so we had to put it all together to get it done, which we had the money out of the tax money, property tax to come in. So we didn't want to go borrow money and have to pay interest. That's why we're just going to swap some funds around, do twos, do froms, and then reverse it once we get the tax money in.
Yeah, we not still have the $500,000 that we didn't pay on the radio? No.
Yes, sir, that's sitting in fund balance, but fund balance is not cash, okay?
Right, yeah, then this is just the segregated cash. Because fund balance would include other assets that are owed.
Fund balance covers everything, covers your assets and your liabilities. Once you pay everything we owe, then they tell you how much cash we have left, and it would be a deficit in the general fund.
They got to pay all liabilities out of it.
So what do you see that we're gonna have to borrow
When is the,
if we do?
We were looking at it, if, we still have some money coming in that's due to us for quarterlies, and we have some, inmate money coming in, and we have some grant monies coming in, and we looked at it, we probably need maybe under 400,000. We put maybe, a cap of 500 if we had to.
So it may go, because we're looking at November 15th,
Payroll.
we can think that, well, our budget, 36 million, 3 million a month, $1.5 million every 2 weeks. Just that basic, micro level finance. And so we could anticipate that we're at 672, we'll spend that down pretty heavily today. We got money coming in, November 15th, and 700,000, whatever. And then we'll have another court meeting before we get to December 1st. We'll have a similar update to this, and then just make sure everybody's always fully informed.
Right, and tax statements are in the mail, so to speak.
Yes, they are. They're all out.
They're all out, so we'll hopefully, start seeing some results of that too. Some of our mortgage companies actually go ahead and pay.
Last week in December, several of the larger mortgage companies.
that'd be a large big.
Okay, any
And
questions?
I think as, pardon me, Judge.
No, I was gonna do the quarterly report.
As we've done, we're just, the auditor and I will focus upon communicating.
Great. All right.
My only comment is, Kenneth and I, we can only spend 1/4 of our budget, so that means 3/4 of our budget's available until after January 1.
Correct.
So I don't have a problem with precinct 1. I don't know what these other commissioners got planned for their money, but,
Spent much of it last week.
yeah.
And they haven't got the bills yet.
Yeah, and I know everybody's working,
Still working.
because the weather's nice and everything.
Some.
But in my instance, I'm only gonna speak for me. Like I say, I can only spend 1/4 of my budget, so I have no problem if y'all need it out of precinct 1. But
Thank you, Commissioner.
whatever the others decide.
We'd send you a breakdown of what we took from each fund, and it wouldn't be an expenditure for you, so it wouldn't affect your 8%. It's only a transfer through the general ledger, so it wouldn't even hit your budget.
We're here to help you, and I'll
Yeah.
help you also.
Thank you, sir.
Thank y'all for your time. I appreciate
All right,
Thank you.
before we move on, let's go ahead and we accepted the monthly report. As the treasurer pointed out, we have the treasurer, the quarterly report. Do I have a motion to approve, which is the second page? Okay, I got a motion from Commissioner Allen, Commissioner Brzlovic, seconds. All in favor say aye. All right, I'm gonna pass these around for your signatures. There's 2 pages, 3 copies. That way we won't have to track you down later on.
The last thing is going to be this quarterly treasurer's report, or quarterly investment officer report. Again, it contains information we've already discussed. It's all interest income at American National Bank. And we have sent 26 million of the road bond proceeds to the tax pool. And that's in at a little bit over 38 basis points.
Anybody have any questions about the investment report for the quarter ending 9/30/2016? Have a motion from Commissioner Shane, do we have a second? Commissioner Phillips seconds the motion. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye. Opposed? Thanks, sir.
Thank you, Judge.
second. Second page.
All right, while we get everything signed and sealed and delivered up here, we'll go ahead and move into item number 7, which is Ms. Ratcliffe, our tax session collector, to talk about approval for the tax session, go over 8% of the budget in the elections and tax budgets.
Thank you, Judge. Well, I think everybody knows that elections are on.
Thank you.
And
With good turnout this morning.
yes, the first day is always a very good turnout over first day of early voting. And because we have early voting and we have all of the judges and clerks that we have to pay for early voting, there is no possible way that the elections budget can stay within 8% a month. However, I will tell you that once this election is completed, the only thing we have left to do with this budget is the May elections. And what you might not realize is that, first of all, there'll be plenty of money for the May elections left. It's supplies in the May elections that's left with the budget. And on the May elections, that's when we do the cities and schools, water boards, anybody else that has anything they want us to run for them. We charge them actual costs to run their elections. And when that money comes in, it goes back into the general fund. It doesn't come back to us. So there will be money coming back into the general fund after that. Plus there will be still plenty of money to run that election and buy the supplies that we need for elections. I would not run it dry or leave it where we couldn't complete our mission of the elections department. But I cannot stay within 8% the next 3 months because these are the tough months for the elections budget. So what I'm asking on the elections budget is that you just, I'm not asking you for a stickler for each percentage here, but to approve me going over the budget, knowing that if I want to go over what's on this, I'll talk with the auditor and we'll make sure there's plenty of money left for what's left for that budget. And
8%, what kind of dollars you talking about?
I'm talking about $133,777. But my total budget is $276,903. So there's still plenty to run the elections on that one. You want me to go ahead and do the tax one at the same time?
Yeah.
Okay. The 500 budget, which is the auto tax budget, I can't, again, stay within the 8% allotted because the first month I have to pay for all the taxes to have been printed and mailed out. That kicks me out of being able to stay within the budget. Then after that, while it would be fairly close, if I tried to squeeze it under, to get how close it is to 8%, all I'm looking at is, this is the end of the year, it's my busiest time, I've got to have some supplies. Now, if I cut out all supplies, I could probably get down under 8%, but really I need to have pens and pads and stuff for the next 2 months when it's a busy time for taxes. So it's very close, as you can see in there, 8.2%, 8.3%. I'm not going over very much in these areas, and this is what the budget was for. I will point out that you might want to consider in the future taking the tax statements, the cost for that, and putting it back into the general fund. Because what we're doing now is we're guessing how much the bid might be, and so we're putting whatever into the tax budget and guessing how much the but if we put it in the general fund, then whatever the bid came to exactly would just come out of the general fund, and it wouldn't have to be up or lower inside somebody's budget. So I'd ask you to consider that for next year. But for this year,
That's where it had been in prior years.
for this year, well, we changed it because we changed the system of what we were doing. But at any rate, I'm asking permission to go over my 8% for good reason, promising you that I will not leave it dry for the future. I want to leave my successor and my staff plenty of money to do their job, and I promise you I will do that. And if there's any question about that, I'll work closely with the auditor if I have to go over what I've got on these sheets. And so I need permission, on the record to go over 8%. That's what I'm asking.
Karen, do you have anything you need to add?
We had already reviewed this. Before, we always had that in the general government department 409. And then when we changed the software, the purchasing agent asked if we put it back in her department, and we did that. And really, even though she's the tax assessor, that shouldn't be an expense to her because she's doing it for all the departments, and it should stay in 409. So I'll move that for the next budget year.
But what I'm asking for is not unreasonable. I think that maybe the question on looking at these sheets.
No, I have reviewed those. Yeah.
Any discussion or any questions?
As long as I upon it, protect
Okay. Motion, Commissioner Shane makes a motion, we approve this request from the elections administrator and tax assessor. Do we have a second? Commissioner Phillips seconds. Further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed. All right, item number 8 is Ms. Radcliffe to present the tax assessor collector's monthly report for September 2016, the last report for the budget year.
Yes, this wraps up the last fiscal year. We, this month, collected $56,388 for the general fund, if you trim and O and INS together. And then in addition to that $56,000, we also collected over $36,000 in delinquent taxes for the month of September. We didn't have any rollback taxes. But our total collections for the year were $31,269,556. In Road and Bridge, we collected $9,772 this month, and we in current taxes, and we collected $49.95 in delinquent taxes, for a total of $5,443,239 for the year for Road and Bridge.
The delinquent road contributed $124,000.
Yes, $124,000 Road and Bridge.
Really have a good year on delinquent taxes with the efforts that you and Linebarger put forth. You might want to give them just a quick update on the tax sale you had.
Oh, we had a great tax sale a week ago in Terrell. We sold, I think, about 20 out of 33 properties and brought in over $131,000. Got that many more properties back on the tax roll.
Yeah, that's a good thing. Any questions about the report from Ms. Radford? Not all. We accept the motion. Commissioner Wallace makes a motion. Mr. Allen seconds the motion to accept the report. All in favor say aye. Aye. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, the next item is from Pam Carter. This is to discuss and consider authorizing an administrative service provider and an engineering service provider for the 2017-2018 Texas Community Development Block Grant Community Development Fund application service. That's a lot of words, but I think Pam can go through that.
So this is a grant, the information that we have talked to you about, the block grant, which was the first year to open up to counties. We came to you and asked permission to put out a bid for the RFQ and the RFP. That would be for the administration and also for the engineering. And we've got back one of each. And we have a gentleman with us from Grantworks. They were the ones that sent the information in for the administration. And so what I'm doing today is I'm asking your permission to approve the administrative service provider and the engineer provider, which would be Grantworks. Was the administrative service provider, and DBI engineers would be the engineering service provider.
Okay, and you wish to say anything? This is for county roads.
It is.
County roads.
I apologize, it is.
Yeah. And I know we've had great success in some of the other entities in the county for doing this. These guys will do the work, and I don't want to tell what all you're going to say, but you might just give us a brief explanation, kind of what you will be doing as far as working with the county.
About 4 years ago, the North Texas Regional Council of Governments, who's the ones that administer your region's funds of the block grant, made a decision that they allowed road drainage and streets, bridges also, projects in the community development block grant. In the past, if you submitted an application for that, it was not a big money, because all the money went to water and sewer. So since they opened that up 4 cycles ago, I met Pam trying to find somebody who works for Roster, or lo and behold, she was the contact. Anyway, because a lot of these communities had never been approached by grant companies because they weren't going to get money. So when they opened it up to roads, and we've got a road project going now in Roster. We have one on the books in Scurry. Kent is going to apply, and Maybank is taking a cut out of another road fund for a downtown revitalization project. Again, when those regional scoring criteria changed, that opened up, the funds for y'all. This will be, I think this is going to be a 90-10 split for y'all because of your population. So, you'll have a 10% match. You can work that match off by using your employees to do the project if you want to do that. That's called force account labor. It's a little bit of paperwork on, it'll be a paperwork hassle on her and an auditor because we'll have to do certified payrolls and all that sort of thing. You have to prove ownership of your equipment down to the title of the equipment that you use. So, I mean, it sounds overbearing, but it's plenty of cities do it. They're much smaller organizations than y'all. It works just fine. Or you can just pay the match in cash, either way you want to do it. The big deal about this particular project is that we're going to have to find a project somewhere in the county that benefits at least 55 people because there's a scoring criteria of, cost per beneficiary is the name of the category. So we have to serve at least 55 people. And again, it could be road drainage or bridge. So that's and 51% of the people that are served by the project have to be at or below low and moderate income. That's the number one priority of the whole USDA block grant. So, but we've got very good maps. We've had some input already, and we'll get into this. Of course, we've not been officially hired yet. So,
And what is our cost from your company?
10%.
Well,
our funds.
No, I'm wrong.
Our funds are gonna basically come from the grant portions as well. We will project a budget once we're approved that, we usually propose 11% of our funds, 11% of the grant. So our ad grant fees are 11% is what we propose.
and if you recall.
We'll have to come back later because, someone else could come in and bid on this project later as well. So we don't really know what it's gonna cost you, but you're gonna be in control of everything because all the budgets have to be approved by y'all. But our proposal is usually 11% on a project.
So that was a $275,000 for the funding, and then our portion, the in-kind portion is $13,500. But out of that will come their costs.
Well, the 13.5 might be 27.
A little bit 27, yeah.
Because you're using Rosser's numbers and your population, I think will put you at 10%
Okay.
match. So your contribution would be a 27.
But we can use our men to do the road work,
So what amount of grant, I looked through this quickly,
The amount
What
of
amount
grant
of
is
grant?
$75,000.
per precinct or per
No.
county?
Per application. And you can only apply it once. I mean, the county can't apply 75 applications. You can only do one.
What kind of certified payroll are you talking about?
Ma'am?
What kind of certified payroll are you talking about?
We just, we will go, if you are gonna take on the construction of the project, then they would keep some sort of a FEMA timesheet or something saying how many hours a day they worked on the project. Maybe, we have a little form that's got pictures of different equipment, and they can just circle that right 6 and then put their initials on there and they're done. So that way we know that when that we've got 6 hours of his time based on his total pay too, not just his salary, but his medical retirement, his gross pay. So, you can work off, and then you're using your equipment at FEMA rates. Pickup sitting there is $13 an hour.
So,
and I apologize, we talked about this before, I should have gone more in detail about it.
But this has been a kind of a strange process this year because in the past, you didn't go through this until you got the grant. the state has now kind of reversed that whole process, so you have to go through this before you even apply.
Your company doesn't get paid unless
We don't try, there won't be a penny, you don't get a grant, we don't get a dime.
And this is something you can't do on your own?
No, it's just too much work.
Just
It
the,
really is.
just the project management aspect of it.
I will be doing,
You would need a full-time person.
and I will be doing a lot of the work.
And she got a raise.
I'll be doing a lot of
She's
the
not
work
managing
just to get
projects
the
like
information to him. Yeah, I'll spend a lot of time doing work to be able to get the information to them.
You now deal with HUD. You know, this paperwork goes to HUD, so.
So there'll be environmental, there'll be, historical, there'll be all types of studies that'll have to be done.
Yeah, no salamanders will be damaged in construction.
it's not,
Leaping lizards and.
Well, the lizards, they
it'll
may
be at least a year before we even,
yes, sir, it'll be, June next, be at least June.
next year.
Yes, sir.
And we sponsored April Springs, right now April Springs has a grant
Good.
from the same funding, and that they are in the process.
Water supply.
The water supply company.
It's a good deal, and there's several counties taking advantage of it. It's not a lot of money for a county, you know, for $275,000, but it's
Yeah, but
better money coming back.
Every little bit.
It's costing you 10%.
Planning section and has 55 people and they've all one. And we do have a couple of plots that you can do that. No matter what my president.
Do they,
How much is the engineer gonna charge?
I got one of my.
I don't work for engineers. You know, I see, you know, you may not, if you're just doing work on county roads only, and you're not doing a bridge or
Or any drainage.
you may not end up having an engineer at all. Because counties are not required to use an engineer on a county road project that you do yourself, correct?
Right.
So, but if you do drainage, or if you do a bridge,
Yeah.
you know, so that's not our call. I can't answer your question.
okay, other question for Pam or the representative here?
That is something that's available to us.
Yeah, it's good that the COG recognizes the fact that, I mean, at least it's a lot more, you know, but
Need a couple more zeros.
yeah, if we don't apply, we know we won't get it.
I'd be wearing a better suit if it
And
All
as
right.
you recall, the last time when we spoke about this, all that we were gonna be out were the expenses in the newspaper, and it has already been advertised.
Yes.
So the next step will be the resolution, and after that will be the public hearing.
All right, so do I have a motion on item number 9?
Yeah, read it.
If you don't mind reading the red, yes, sir.
Yeah, in the red.
In the red, I make a motion to authorize Grant Works as administrator service provider and DBI Engineers as engineering service provider for 2017-2018 Texas Community Development Block Grant Community Development Fund application.
I have a second to that.
I'll second.
Commissioner Phillips seconds. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed. Item number 10 is related, to discuss and consider adopting a resolution designated an administrative service provider and an engineering service provider for 2017-2018 Texas CDBG Community Development Fund.
I make that motion.
Okay, you have a
I got it.
copy of that, I believe.
I do.
Okay.
I make a motion to accept the resolution designating Grant Works as administrative service provider and DBI Engineers as engineering service provider for 2017-2018 Texas CDBG Community Development Fund application.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor from Commissioner Allen. Commissioner Pavlik seconded the motion. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye. Those opposed. Thank you very much. Thanks for coming. Keep our fingers crossed that we get this. All righty, item number 11 is a popular topic as always, and that's to discuss and consider entering into a 6-month contract with the Humane Society of Cedar Creek Lake. And Rebecca, I believe you've been working on this pretty extensively. You and Karen.
Yes, I have. You introduced it as the most popular topic, I know this. Have you guys had a chance to look through the contract? It was the same exact one as last year, except for if you look under paragraph 2, it provides for the 6-month option to terminate
versus, the year-long. And if by 6 months we're not ready to make a different decision, then we have the additional 6 months at that same rate of $9,300. The original, offer amount was, I think, $11,500, and then Karen talked to Lynette, and the board went down to $9,300. So we felt that was a good amount lower than what they originally offered.
And that's for an unlimited amount of animals?
It is.
Dogs.
Flat fee
Except for after
of
three.
dogs, because our cats go to our cat contract.
After 3 o'clock or 3:30.
3:30, yeah, 3:30 is the time we want them to be in by, and that's the same as the.
But we don't, right, Sheriff? We don't deliver them after 3:30, right?
That, and they don't quarantine for us either.
Okay.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah, I don't believe their facility fits that, and usually when we quarantine, we're gonna make the owner pick their bed of their choice, and they can take care of it with them.
That's good.
We had our animal control officer go through the contract, and that was his comment on it, but since they're using a different, way to handle that issue, I didn't think that we needed to go back and remove that paragraph. It could just cover us in case we ever were to need them to do that as backup.
What basically this does is buy us some time. I know Steve spent a lot of time working on it.
Oh, Pam's been a lot more time than I am. I'm definitely working on it.
Yeah.
Not even questioning that.
So anybody have any questions for Rebecca? Not, I entertain a motion to accept, or approve the contract with the Division of Humane Society of Cedar Creek. I'll make a motion. Motion from Commissioner Phillips, second by Commissioner Allen. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Thank you very much. You guys are working through that. I know y'all spent quite a bit of time working through this to get us to this point. Next item is number 12, and it's from Lisa Callahan to discuss and consider purchasing space saver shelving from Southwest Solutions in the amount of $24,985 for record archive managed by the county clerk.
Yes, if you gentlemen remember, we authorized back in June, some shelving. This is just additional shelving that works well with the system she already has in place. And, whenever the original quote came in, it was over the $25,000 threshold, and the vendor was able to cut some money off, but it still was only like $15 under the threshold to come to Commissioner's Court, so I felt probably should just bring it, just to have it out there, not look like trying to circumvent anything.
Right. So we have a $25,000 limit that we have to bring to court, any purchase.
They raised, I'm not sure exactly when, but the purchase used to be around 10 or 15,000, it had to come to Commissioner's Court to be
It
approved.
was changed 3 or 4 years ago. I don't remember, but it used to be 5,000, I think.
Was it?
Yeah.
I thought it was everything, I wasn't.
Inflation,
Yeah, there you go.
State of Texas used to be 25, now they're 50.
Yeah.
yeah. It's our county policy for.
Yes, county policy.
Okay.
I'm a,
I have a motion from Commissioner Gonzalez, a second from Commissioner Shane. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, item number 13 is also from the purchasing agent. Discuss and consider awarding bid number 17-03, sale and services of property at 201 South Jefferson Street in Kaufman.
We sent this out for surplus bid, and we received one answer, and, he has bid $4,000 for the removal of that building according to our stipulations. So
That's the same guy that did all, the first time?
yes, he wanted it, he had already proposed this, but it had to go through the process, we couldn't just say okay.
On that?
No, cause the bid just
It's a bid
closed on
on-
Thursday, so I'll be more than happy to make you copies of the bid you want.
no, I thought I lost it.
No, it wasn't, I went ahead and put it on the agenda because everybody wanted to get on it as quickly as possible, and it didn't close until after 2 on Thursday,
So he's buying it.
And
Yes.
instead of us tearing it down.
But with it being surplus property, we still had to go through
So
the.
we're ahead about 13,000.
Just not having.
Doesn't happen very often. something that we're doing. It's great.
Actually,
Yeah.
Lisa, do you want, is it Northcutt?
Yes. Mike
This-
Northcutt.
This is the house that we just bought from the First Baptist Church. It's
From the top of it.
Yeah.
right.
And, so I think he's taking the brick off and they're gonna leave the brick there, I believe, my understanding. And, to crushed or used, for haul off, whatever we
We
decide.
can use it, I've got some washouts. So we got to cover it.
So that's hauled off, can't use it on the parking lot, we never get it packed into it, I don't think.
I've got a Sean
We don't have a
Mayfield
contractor.
trailer of tires over there, about half full of tires on who it belongs to. And there's a car too.
Brian.
Brian.
It belongs to Brian.
Really?
Called
Yeah,
Friday.
we're gonna deliver it down there to him.
Yeah, okay.
Sean called Friday and said that he has found out who owns the car, the trailer, I think, and they're gonna move it. And then the cars, he thinks he found the owner of the cars, but he couldn't contact them because they weren't home. So he's working on getting those out of there.
Okay. There's a trailer and two vehicles, I believe, it's been parked over there, I don't know for how long, but anyway.
So they were there when we bought it.
Right.
I had Sean.
Better pick them up and put them
They were
in the
abandoned,
lot.
so they're
Put them
ours.
in auction.
And then Brian will have them in the auction.
All right, we have a motion to, approve the sale of this surplus.
I'll make a motion.
Second motion from Commissioner Phillips, second from Commissioner Gonzalez. Any other discussion, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed. Okay, thank you. Item number 14 is from Tiffany, to discuss and consider approving a cell phone allowance for the interim HR director. This was what was in place, I believe, when Lori was here. And so, that's per our policy, it's required that the individual requesting it, it has to be approved by the court.
How much is it? $75 a month?
Yeah.
900 for the year.
You didn't already have one?
When Lori left, I, chose to not get it, but now I'm choosing to start that up. But yes, Lori did have one whenever she left, and I was supposed to take it with her, but I chose not to get that then.
It was Lori's name, I mean, it was a.
Her number, the number she had.
Well, it'd be her phone.
It's
It's
her
just,
phone, but
it's just a
Lori
phone,
just
not
didn't
personal
have
phone
it.
for her phone, it's for use for.
Lori was getting reimbursement.
I'll make a motion.
All right, we have a motion from Commissioner Phillips, second, you have a second, Commissioner Allen. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Let's go ahead and look at the line item transfers. We do have an addendum, it's gonna require an executive session, and,
See him here.
is he out?
Yes, he's out.
But let's go ahead and we'll complete, the line item transfers as well as the claims.
Anyone have any questions over the line item transfers?
Got a lot of them.
That's cleanup 2016. A lot of them had to do with the cell phones and allowances that you gave everybody during the year, and I had to move money around to cover it.
Do you have any idea what the total cost of it was for the cell phones?
No, sir, but I can get that number for you. You want me to you want me to send it to all of y'all in email?
I think so.
Okay.
My only question is on all of our salaries,
Yes.
how did we come up short? I guess that's what they did for each of the salaries. We're increasing.
Right. That, we had that extra week that we had to count back.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
The first payroll in October was really earned in September.
Okay, all right.
Then we had some, we,
what the accounting has to keep up with it, she can explain it, but the way the accounting requires us to.
I just thought that we said last year we weren't gonna go through that again, we were gonna figure out a way to start the new pay on October first.
no, sir, you can't do that because all that money was earned as of 9/30. So that's why I had to move it back.
Back it up.
Yes, sir. that's required in modified accrual accounting. This is one of the statutes you have to do.
Other questions about the line item transfers?
No.
Right. Now I'll entertain a motion to approve that recommended.
Make a motion.
Commissioner Phillips makes that motion, Mr. Shane seconds the motion. All in favor say aye. Those opposed. Next item is the claim for payment.
Your claims for payment are $897,297.89. $213,000 was to do with road materials. $148,000 of that was road bonds. $62,000 was inmate housing and medical, and utilities was like $39,000. Courthouse security was $42,000. That was all the updates for the new cards and the new readers and things for security, came out of courthouse security. Anybody got any questions on that?
Oh, no. We're on the claim for payment, right, the big payment. Right.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I got one question on page 52,
Which packet, sir?
the big one.
The big one?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
We have this, under records management preservation, that North Cut house movers for $7,500.
Yes. What was that? That was the third building moved from, Brandon ISD, the last building.
building. There's three of them.
We paid for the first two, and then we had a second bill come in for the last move.
It occurred after the.
I guess I missed, when did we approve the purchase and movement of these buildings in court? Because we have a court date, must have missed it.
It was on, I don't remember when, I guess last month, I don't remember, but it's been paid, I know.
We got the buildings.
Well, I know that we paid for the movement of, a couple of them.
What about $2,000 apiece?
Well,
The buildings were $2,000
No,
apiece.
we bought them from somebody, and then it was our responsibility to go hire our own company and move them.
Right.
So we moved them for $7,000 a piece, or $7,500, which made $22,500 or whatever. And then $2,000 we purchased them from Randall.
Right.
Two separate items.
Yeah, but it's for a capital expenditure, right? Is that not what you would consider capital expenditure buildings?
I'm looking at our auditor, that's my accounting question. You would take the buildings and add the move to it
As
and
one,
add it
as
together.
an expense? Okay.
But it was still under the required 25,000, I believe.
At least I think you checked it out.
Well, they were also, that was separate, I mean, it wasn't done to make it separate, to do anything, but it was separate purchases. We purchased the buildings from one at Crandall ISD, and then the moving was from a different entity. It wasn't all, I mean, it could have been lumped together as a project, but it wasn't done that way.
Well, I think if you'll check your purchasing policy, you'll figure out we just circumvented our own purchasing policy by breaking up.
But we didn't do this intentionally, there was nothing
Well,
intentional
I'm not saying
to
anything
this.
was intentional, I'm just saying that this, and I didn't realize in a special meeting that, we had, cause I didn't get the bills, matter of fact, for that meeting, but we did pay this $16,580. And so, now, with this 7,500 added to that, we're over that 25,000 number that we just discussed, is our policy. Anything over 25,000 should come down.
That would be under the 25,000. 24,000.
Until you add the 6,000 for buildings.
You can't do that though, that's two different services. You're buying a product and then you're buying a service to move it.
It's for one capital expenditure, which is the building.
But those buildings don't fall in the capital category.
Sure.
They're not $5,000 apiece.
Sure. Well, the total purchase is,
But they're under, whenever those buildings especially be categorized as inventory purposes, they're not a capital purchase, they're under 5,000.
The total expense is over 25,000. My question is, I learned about these buildings from our maintenance guy. Why was this never brought to, Commissioner's Court?
Well, I know that we received a couple of different bids, cause, that mod space, I believe you had actually rented some buildings from, and Precinct 2 had rented some buildings from. We had received a quote from those folks, and we received a quote from another entity as well, that leases the buildings and moving, and this turned out to just be a much cheaper.
Well, I understand that, but I mean, what are the buildings for? I mean, that reason was never brought to court. What's the
When
purpose?
it's storage.
For
Storage for, no, I believe Laura has some stuff out there, and it's you, no, it's the district clerk, I'm sorry, wrong clerk. The district clerk.
As well as the elections, and why she's left out.
And the district
Well,
attorney.
where is the stuff now? It's in the old jail, right?
I honestly
It's
don't
been
know.
moved out for the city, where the city is occupying the offices at the south campus. And then some of the election equipment is also stored at the south campus. And it's been moved, or will be moved, whenever they return from the voting boxes. And then the other that will be moved is, there's, I don't know how many hundreds of boxes of the DA's office that will be moved into one of the buildings out there, so we can start to remodel this building or the old library.
Well, again, my question is, why was this not brought to court? And going back to the capital expenditure, look it up according to accountingdetails.com, capital expenditure, capital cost. Expenditure means the amount spent. Any expenditure incurred for the following purposes, capital expenditures. For acquiring fixed assets such as land, buildings, plant and machinery, furniture, and fitting and motor vehicles. So we just circumvented our own purchasing policy.
I don't think the first budget feels that way.
I don't, because we were approached at buying these buildings for, a considerable amount less, and from what I understand,
I'm not arguing
it's
the
just
amount.
temporary for the, purpose of during the time that the, city is renting this. And then at that time, or the way I understand is we may sell those and recoup our money on that
Right, at some point.
at some point in time.
Well,
when we get
I'm not
finished.
arguing the value of it at all. What I'm arguing is the amount that we just, if we pay this bill, we circumvented our own purchasing policy on page 5, under purchasing authority. Authority to make county purchases resides either in the county purchasing department or the commissioner's court. And then you go down to paragraph 2, subsection A, unbudgeted capital expenditures. Did we talk about these buildings in budget time? We may have, I don't remember. Anybody remember talking about this? Okay, unbudgeted capital expenditures. Purchases not authorized in the department's current budget must be authorized through a budget amendment by the Commissioner's Court. See section 7A, page 20. Unbudgeted capital purchases. If the needed capital item was not included as part of the county budget, the following procedures should be followed in order to obtain budgetary authorization. The requesting department must fill out a requisition form and attach a memo justifying the need for the item. Did we issue a PO for this? The
We had
requesting,
budgeted money though, sir, in capital outlays,
no, this didn't come, what fund was this being paid out of?
general fund.
Really? Why is it in? Records management preservation is what my sheet showed us being paid out of.
What page are you on?
52. The big
Oh,
pack,
the
big
big
pack,
one,
yeah,
that's
big
why I
pack.
couldn't find, okay. That's coming out of the
needed capital purchases. If the needed capital item was not included as part of the county budget, the following procedures should be followed in order to obtain budgetary authorization. The requesting department must fill out a requisition form and attach a memo justifying the need for the item. The requesting department shall include in the memo a cost estimate justifying the need and a statement of whether there are available departmental funds that may be used for this purchase. The requesting department must fill out a line item amendment form and submit to the county auditor. The auditor will then present the request to the court. The Commissioners Court will approve or decline the request. If approved, normal purchasing procedures apply. So, again, my question is, this being in my precinct in particular, why was this not at least brought to my attention, much less to the court, for the purchase of this stuff? It is over $25,000.
The total counting the buildings.
Sure. And that's, according to this, on page 32 of our purchasing policy. Yeah, they wouldn't give me a permit to keep my building on there. Do we have a permit for these?
Yes.
Okay.
Bobby, I believe.
Page 32 of our own purchasing policy. Strategies that are prohibited by law include purchasing a series of component parts that would normally be purchased as a whole, purchasing items in a series of separate purchases that normally would be purchased as a single purchase, and purchasing over a period of time that normally would be done as one purchase, sequential purchase.
Does it include amount on that page?
The last page?
Yeah, because I think the statute is actually 50,000, and the court's chosen to implement a lesser amount of 25. So
Well, that's why I asked the question a while ago about the 25 limit.
So
The reason would go, I'm not talking about state policy. I know what the state
I'm just
statute
saying
is.
for legality, so if it's, as long as it's
Is a
under
commissioner's
50.
court order not a legal binding? This is a constitutional court at law. A commissioner's court order is county law.
To be honest, I've never seen that actual order. Everyone in the court mentions that it's 25,000, but I've never actually been able to find it.
So we've been lied to for, I've been lied to for 3.5 years that
I'm not
we don't
saying-
actually have a 25,000?
I'm
I
not
mean, either we
saying
do or
that.
we don't.
It's just, it's been implemented across the board, it's a good idea to have $25,000 expenditures approved through the court, but the statute says 50,000. So as long as you're under that amount, there's less cause for concern.
We're not breaking state law, we're just breaking county policy.
Well, and that's my statement of, I need to see that order, so that I can confirm yes or no. I don't have that order in my office.
Well, I don't know, I'll look for
I
it.
think you go back to previous to,
Which court?
2002, when we had the issue with the consecutive 24,999s.
I don't
And
know.
that
Precinct
may
4
be
is
true,
where
but
you're
the
gonna
court
find
record
this,
is,
deal
you'll
with
need to
Commissioner's
find
Court that it was passed,
It's hard to
that
find.
$25,000 is
I
illegal.
did ask a question, that's our court to do that, not some other court. I actually, sent the question to,
Well, did you know about this purchase?
did I know about after it happened?
After the fact?
Yeah.
Did you know about the purchase of the buildings before it happened?
I did, it was, an item that we had a problem to get the building empty. We got, a price from, Crandall ISD for $2,000.
Well, I think it's a good deal.
Yeah.
I'm not arguing that
And then,
point.
the
But
court-
my only other concern is, these are district clerk records that are in here. Is that allowed by the state to have them in a portable building without fire protection or in an unsecured area? I don't know, I'm just asking, is this not, I'm thinking it's not a good idea to put them in a portable building.
They've been in an unprotected area with that there, and what we've had over here in the.
They're over there in that old building, the one they're talking about.
They're there, they're at the South Campus in the old, behind the fire marshal's office, they're in the old
Yeah,
jail.
I don't think there's any in the fire marshal.
Well, that's where they were, is that not where the records were?
I don't
They
know.
were in our old offices, where I used to house.
They were moved there so they could
Yeah,
be sorted.
that's what I say, because the city moved it, right? We moved them out, so the city moved it. Like I say, I'm not arguing that point, they probably need to go somewhere, but is a I think we should have had a discussion about, is that the best place to put district court records? I mean, that thing is
It's supposed to be
pretty
climate
vulnerable
control.
to tornado and
What I heard.
fire and everything else, you know. That's, to me, that's not a real, I think we should have had a discussion about this myself. But are you not agreeing with me that this is violating our county purchasing policy?
This is the first time I've heard of this issue, so without looking into everything further in detail and giving me time to research it, I'm not gonna make a declaration one way or the other.
Well, I mean, after seeing this again, I got to looking, I thought, well, we already paid that, something to Northcutt, and now we have another bill.
I thought they
And
were moving
add-
the house over here, that.
Yeah, I thought it was gonna move that house,
I thought
but,
I had to pay up front or something, and I didn't question it.
you add it all up, and it's over a $25,000
Just that
bill.
day, so.
When we had that special meetings when I brought those first invoices to you,
I see it on the
was to
special.
pay the 6,000 for the buildings and then the
And
moving.
that's what I thought it was.
That-
I didn't know.
Two different vendors.
Anything until I went to the hay show the other night, and somebody asked me down there, what are y'all doing? Started a trailer park, and I said, what do you mean?
Oh,
So, I had to,
Are we gonna further violate our purchasing policy if we pay this bill today? I mean,
what are the repercussions on the bill if it's past due today?
I haven't been a part of
Does anyone
this
know?
gentleman's bill, I don't know what his terms
If
are.
they
Do you
deny
have it there?
payment today
No.
and push it,
all I've got is this on page 52, but
Okay, the listing.
this
Let me
is
see
a
what it
payment
says.
from the
I just wanna
previous.
see the main concern if we didn't pay it today in order to give the court time to look into it further. Or if we needed to pay it up front and then look into it further and see if we need to clear it. Those would be the two options.
I think the gentleman was asking for his money, because he's a local person, local vendor.
My other concern is that the moving company is also the same one that's doing the purchasing on the home, right?
Yes,
The one bid.
yes.
I think you have some things to look at.
And
But I don't wanna risk us getting a
this,
worse deal.
after doing this research on this last payment that was made in a special meeting, I've got a copy of, I guess it's an invoice, and on here, Karen, is this your writing, or is this someone else that says, okay to pay J.B. Wood $9.29, J. Allen $9.29, and S. Phillips $9.29?
Yes, I had called him on the phone, but I didn't write the check, and we had the special meeting, and y'all approved the bills that time.
So,
Just called to see if it was okay, because he needs money. I said, well, if we owe somebody something, we need to pay them.
so you knew what it was for? You knew what it was for?
And for
You knew what it was for?
Moving the buildings, yeah.
Yep. But that was way after the fact that we bought it.
Well, this, you know, to me, this has all the appearances of a walking corner, because we purchased something that two commissioners weren't involved in. We have no PO, and it's a purchase over $25,000, which is our county policy.
It's not over the 25,000, Commissioner, that's one of the things that I think the purchasing agent has
No, I went
checked
to the
out.
statute. I mean, it's a capital expenditure. The buildings are not gonna move themselves from wherever you bought them to be put there. And it, you know, I just read in the statute, as part of the purchasing policy, that it just says you can't break it down and separate it or string it out, you know, make different, invoices out of it.
Well, the purchasing agent is one that was checked with on this to make sure we were completely legal.
Because we didn't, like I said, we went through and we got all the different quotes. We received several quotes on this. We found the deal to actually purchase the building versus, just renting and throwing that money away. And
Well, I'm not arguing that. I mean, it is a good deal, but I have several concerns that, it wasn't brought to court. And why, when, we've had plenty of meetings, special meetings and everything else.
Well, I can say from my viewpoint, I didn't feel that that we were circumventing anything, because just like I brought Laura's to court this morning and it was under, just to make sure that
That's why I asked you the
wasn't
question
as-
about the 25,000.
I wanna
And
make
you
sure
answered, you stood right here
Yes.
and said, anything over 25,000 should come to court, or
Yes.
needs to come to court. And that's what we've been told, it's what I've been told
Yes.
for nearly 4 years.
And I don't
so that's what we
believe that
advised about.
anything with this, and not because, I'm not saying this because one bill totaled up to that, I didn't know what these buildings were what the cost was for moving these buildings. I mean, not full out, flat out, you know.
Don't feel like the Lone Ranger, I didn't even know we were
And
getting them.
I'm not trying to pass the buck, I'm not trying to say anything as far as that goes. Maybe I should have interjected and been a little more involved on that
You know,
end of it,
I
but-
get drawn into court on allegations of trying to circumvent a purchasing policy on some road materials. I mean, made a line item in the commissioner's court, made an agenda item out of it for something that's very similar to this. And after you and I talked, and
Out
you
of
knew
what?
that,
Out of which one?
out of that road material that's from stabilizing that road.
Oh, the,
That straight work,
the
straight
sole
pad.
source?
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
at that time, whenever you and I discussed it, it appeared that way, but then whenever further things were brought to my attention, it didn't. And as my due diligence, I needed to follow through to make sure we were in compliance.
Oh, I know, and that's why I asked you about it, but I mean, you know, I get an agenda item on me trying to make it appear that I was trying to circumvent the purchasing policy, when we don't have appearances of that here. We have it in writing, in black and white, with signatures, with no POs. And it's definitely over 25,000. So,
Yes.
Did we get a bid on the moving?
On the moving, not that I'm aware of, no, sir.
Yeah, Bobby did.
Bobby did? It was never relayed to me, but Bobby's really good at following through and getting.
Yeah, I think
oh, he's excellent, yeah.
the cheapest person I think you could find was, the cheapest next person was nearly 40 grand. I knew about the moving part. But we're gonna come back to state law one more time.
I'm not arguing state law.
I know, but this part, I mean, just for your information, it has nothing to do with this part, I'm concerned. I did ask Jim Allison and them about not this, about 25,000. And we can't pass a rule right here and say the next court can only spend 25,000. Reverts back to state law every time the commissioner's court changes. There's just no, we can't do that. We're not allowed to tell the next person what to do.
Felt that we was in trouble with this situation.
Right.
Yeah, so, you know.
I mean, cause,
All y'all had to do was come to court. This thing would have.
That was my question. Why was it not brought to
Wouldn't have been no
court?
question. Don't hide it from us.
I don't think you hide three affordable buildings, you know.
No, you can't. They're pretty obvious to the.
When the first one showed up, I thought it was something to do with the city, and then when the second and third one showed up, I asked Bobby about it, and that's when I found out that that's where court records were gonna do. And again, I'm not sure that that's a good idea, you know, for district court records to be in a portable building. You know, what is the law on fire protection and security? Is there one, or can you just put them anywhere? I don't know.
Most public records.
Especially since it's a new building. It should come under Kaufman's, city of Kaufman's government code on sprinklering it and everything.
So they were $7,500 for that.
This is for your own citizens.
no, it's over square footage on your sprinkler system.
We'll go back, I'll ask Angie to go back, or the county clerk to go back and research the records.
We already have, it's back to 2002 or whatever.
It was back to me.
It has not been done since this court has been.
I thought
So-
we'd done it earlier, or later than
So I was right about
Well, we couldn't even find it in,
pretty soon.
this didn't have anything to do with this, I did that over a year ago.
So the 25,000 we've been held to is
Somebody
kind of
else.
like our imaginary commissioner's court rules of order that we.
Well, it's kinda like, yours or whatever, and I said, no, don't do that. And you tell the story, we're not gonna do that.
Right.
Right to do what you need to do.
So what did Jim say exactly?
It says you can't order the next court to do something. You can't hold them in.
So it has to be done every 2 years.
We have to agree on what we wanna do. You can't, I can't predict, I can't tell this guy coming in and say, well, you can't spend $10,000. I'm gonna commit to state law. State law, state law.
Unless we want to adopt something.
But we have to just hold everybody down,
Because,
and they run their proper procedures to Commissioner's Court.
that's right, and if we all agree to it, that's great.
And, well, this is something we've all been doing, we're gonna do a lot of court, we're gonna start doing court without us, hey, I'll stay home.
They have things also, legislative committee for a reason.
Show up.
I don't know about this walking quorum, I don't know of any walking quorum that's took place.
Y'all all in.
Well, I think 3 people knew about it and 2
But I
didn't.
think
Oh, she just called and said an emergency check, she needed the
Emergency check
commissioner's
to pay a bill.
signature, she didn't, not signature, just to let them know that. She
That
didn't
was you
have,
giving approval.
just saying that she's doing it,
No, for service.
I don't know.
Purchase, we're purchasing new certs.
And my belief, it was under $25,000, and I know you don't believe that. but
Not
that was
according to our
after
purchasing policy.
I mean, it is with purchasing agent. So, I don't know what to do other than this point, other than if you don't want to approve, pay the bill, you can certainly vote against that, but,
Well, I think I need the money, I'm paying it now.
do we have other questions about the bill before we, go into the executive session? I think we discussed this.
I do have one more thing, and I need the sheet that's signed around.
I hadn't signed it yet because of the,
Well, the discussion.
yeah.
Last week while I was at conference, I got a letter from the IRS saying that our debt had been satisfied and it'd be no further action. And I got an email this morning from Golden, Kaiser and Kaiser. All right. They want to, say that the determination letter was unfavorable, which I knew. And, they're recommending a tax court petition to be filed prior to November the 2nd. We wouldn't have another meeting, so I wanted to make sure you knew about it. They want to file the petition on behalf of the county, and they need your authorization to do so, and they want a retainer for $3,060, which means it's going to be more. So I need to know your wishes, so I can let them know either to move forward or leave it alone.
Now, reread that.
Yeah, say that again. What do they want to do for us?
Okay. We received a determination from the IRS dated 10/3. He said he told her to ask me because he didn't know how to contact me all of a sudden. Says the determination we received was unfavorable. We recommended a tax court petition to be filed prior to November the 2nd. We can file a petition on behalf of the county, and in order to do that, we just need authorization to do so and a retainer check for $3,060.
So what do they think they're gonna do for us?
I guess they're gonna file a petition.
For how much?
Does this relate to the 1099 issue, Karen? Maybe that's the
Well, yeah, they know what it's for. They're the ones that hired the tax attorney. But that's in regards to.
I don't know, can we?
Well, it's not on the agenda, it may be when they need to come back and,
It has to be
find
done
out
by
about
November
it. You just
2nd.
got that this morning, yeah, so it's kinda,
Yeah. So I just wanted to make y'all aware of it.
I can reach out to the attorney and ask procedurally where they're at and what their process and it looks like moving forward, because I'm not really sure according to that email what it looks like.
I think that our.
It's a big project, you guys need to know what you're
Our,
doing.
in our discussion before, we gave the judge permission to do on our behalf on this thing, wouldn't that relate to the same thing? In other words,
I think Karen's presenting it to you as a claim for payment, but anytime they're filing a petition, you'd be correct, and then the judge would have to sign it as the agent for the county, but, I mean, this is a bigger issue, I would think the court would wanna hear back about it.
we've got until November the
no, but I
2nd.
mean, if we've only got till November the 2nd, then we don't have another meeting. I'm just asking if.
Might wanna get them on the phone like we did last time. Cause when it says retainer, that tells me there's gonna be more money.
Well, since it's not on the agenda today, I
We need to have a workshop about our investment policy.
perhaps do both of them at the same time. All right, other comments on the bills? Do I have a motion concerning the claim for payment? We have a motion from Commissioner Phillips, we have a second. Second from Commissioner Allen. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? No. Okay. So the vote to pay the bills passes on a 3-2 motion. We now will need to go into a closed session and we'll discuss the item that is listed on the agenda, and that is to discuss, consider salary and compensation of veteran service officer. Do I have a motion at the time of 10:26? Commissioner Shane. All in favor say aye.
I'm sorry, I did not get the first and second.
Made the second.
She didn't get the first or the second.
First, Commissioner Shane made the motion and Commissioner Gonzalez seconded the motion. Alrighty, we had a motion to exit the executive session at 10:36 a.m. Made by Commissioner Allen and seconded by Commissioner Phillips. I know that we actually voted. All in favor say aye. Those opposed. And so we're now back in open session, and believe the court has nothing to report from the executive session, so we took no action during the executive session. So we have a motion from Commissioner Shane. Do I have a second? Second from Commissioner Phillips. All in favor say aye. Those opposed. And I will come by and visit later on. So we have a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Second motion from Commissioner Phillips, second by Commissioner Allen. All in favor say aye. Those opposed. Thank you very much.